Good morning, everyone. I'm Raquel Melgar, and the last 4 months I've been working at the U4 here in Palencia at the Forest Modeling Group. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about the work I've been doing here. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to tell you about the objective of this work. And is, from LiDAR data, we want to define a metric that quantifies the amount of light that a tree captures in a given period of time. There are many models that do this already, but we want to take into account different things. We want to take into account the relative position of the tree in the forest, the leaf distribution of the tree crown. This is where does the tree places its leaves, the orientation of the tree in the forest, and also the orientation of the forest, and the attenuation of light along the forest canopy. And this is like our objective, and the tools we can use is the voxelization of the data, Beer-Lambert's law, and ray tracing algorithms. So this is like, those are the ingredients we can use on our models, so I will explain them during the presentation. So first of all, LiDAR data. Maybe some of you are already familiar with LiDAR data, with LiDAR technology. LiDAR is the acronym for light detection and ranging. The idea of LiDAR is that we can scan a surface to get a point cloud of it. And as Mohammed said, we can do it by flying, in our case, a forest from above and get a map of it. But we can also do it from below canopy with TLS, terrestrial laser scanning, and with this handheld scanner, we scan the forest below canopy. When we have done this scan, we end up with a point cloud that can look like this. This is a point cloud of 28 pines in Jarandilla de la Vera, in Extremadura. This point cloud contains almost 8 million points. So this is a lot of data we have to manage, and we are interested in things like wood leaf segmentation. This means that in the point cloud, we are interested in distinguishing the points that belong to photosynthetical tissues and the ones who doesn't. And also we are interested in the individual tree segmentation. This means these algorithms, these segmentation algorithms are not easy, and there are many people working on improving them nowadays. So let's talk about voxels. What are voxels? A voxel is a generalization of a pixel. If a pixel is a small square we use to represent 2D figures, a voxel is a 3D cube we use to represent 3D objects. And how can we use voxels to represent forests? If we isolate a tree from the Jarandilla plot we saw before and we voxelize it, we end with something like this. We can vary the voxel width, and as we use smaller voxels, we get better representations of the tree. We can also count the number of LiDAR points we have in each voxel to get something like this. Here we have painted darker the voxels where we have more LiDAR points. So we don't lose the information about the leaf distribution information. Okay, Beer-Lambert's law. When light traverses a medium, it gets attenuated. So Beer-Lambert's law tells us how much of the light gets attenuated. So it says that the intensity of the transmitted light depends on the intensity of the incident light, this length, L, and also K, which is attenuation coefficient that depends on the nature of the medium. Beer-Lambert's law is often used to model sunlight extinction through the forest canopy. And our idea is to associate a K, attenuation coefficient, to each voxel, depending on the number of LiDAR points it contains. So darker voxels will attenuate more the light and will capture more light. And ray tracing algorithms, if we want to simulate a ray that traverses a set of voxels, we need to use ray tracing algorithms. In our model, we have used this one by John Amanatidis and Andrew Wu. And about ray tracing algorithms, they are really important on video games, and they are used to simulate interaction of light with objects and textures. This means that when, for example, when a video game character walks into a room and the shadows and lights changes, and they do it on a realistic way, this is because thanks to ray tracing algorithms. So now we have all the ingredients in our model. I'm going to explain a simplification, a two-dimensional example of it. So imagine we have this simplified forest, and we have voxelized it. So let's show the grid, and we will understand it better. When we have the forest, we know the coordinates of the forest. We choose a day of the year and an hour of this day. We can exactly know the direction and the intensity of solar radiation at a given point. So we are gonna simulate a ray that hits this point of the forest. The ray is gonna follow this path, and it is gonna get attenuated as it traverses the canopy. How is it gonna get attenuated? By Beer-Lambert's law, we have to compute. First, we want to know the intensity at this point, when the rate changes of voxel. So we have to compute this length, and we have to compute the k associated to the voxel. So at this point, the voxel has stolen energy from the ray. We will do the same for the next voxel and for the next one. And here, the ray hits a woody voxel, so it will stop there. We have to do the same for all the points on our voxel grid. And we can do the grid thinner, so we can get a better simulation of light. And the thing is that here we know how to do it for a fixed direction, but we know the direction of the sunlight varies along the day. So the idea is to simulate several directions along the day, to simulate a day, and then simulate the days of our tree growing period. So we will know if this tree has get more light than this one. And some observations and possible improvements of our model is that this model only takes into account direct solar radiation. This is the radiation we get on a sunny day, on a clear day. On cloudy days, we also have indirect solar radiation. But this is not a big deal because indirect solar radiation is less than the 20% of solar radiation we get from the sun. And it also affects the forest homogeneously in a sense that no tree is favored over another. We could also have used merged data from TLS, so we could have a better representation of the upper part of the ground. We could improve the woodleaf segmentation method that we use because there are better algorithms that can do it. We could have do it better than we did. And we could also improve the K adjustment. One way to do this could be go to Jarandilla and measure the solar radiation in the forest and outside the forest. So then we could calculate the real K of the forest and then do the adjustment. And finally, we could try to implement this on mixed forest where the species have different growing periods. So we have to adapt a bit the problem, but this could be an interest work. Thank you so much for your attention.